And thank you so much for joining us today. It is a beautiful day. I think the cold weather is past us, at least for the interim, because, man, it is nice outside, Chastity. Actually, I had the windows down on the way to the studio this morning.
I know, it's hard to believe. A couple of days ago, it was in the teens. So,
Man.
And then like 67, I'm hearing for December, the Christmas Day.
So no chance of a white Christmas this year?
I don't think so.
Oh, mercy.
Not
Well,
unless you're on the beach.
I'll take, you know what, we're blessed in Georgia. Georgia's got great weather.
Yes.
And we got a great show in store today. I've got Mike Ricks. He is the executive director of Bethel Haven, is going to be on with us in just a little bit. Jared Calloway, he's on the Barrow County School Board. And Matt Whitley, he's going to be our guest in the second hour. He is a friend of mine in the Monroe Rotary Club. Matt is a West Point graduate. He was an Apache helicopter pilot for the United States Army, and he owns a company called Trophy Point Properties. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to spend some time with Matt learning about his journey through West Point and the United States Army. So a couple little stories that I dug up to get us teed off. And before I get into my stories, Chastity, every evening this week, I'm a busy boy. There's a lot going on in our area. There's Christmas parties. There's corporate events. Seems like every night I got one or two things going on.
Shop with the Hero.
Shop with the Hero last night?
Yes.
Were you there last night?
I was there, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Wonderful night.
Did it have a nice packed house just like the other nights?
Yes. A lot of heroes and a lot of our community, children, and volunteers. So it was a great night.
Did they have the helicopter again?
They did.
Wow.
Yeah. That's my favorite part.
You know, I kind of want to ask for a tour of the helicopter,
Yeah.
Mike, and I'm too old.
I know. No, you're never too old. Never say that.
They'd kick me to the curb. But yeah, what a blessing. So last night, that was the culmination of all three events. So that's wrapped up for Shop of the Hero for 2025.
Yep.
Well, I can't wait for 2026.
It'll be here before we know it.
Yeah, just special. Janice Baldwin, kudos to her
She's
team.
amazing.
And everybody else that did events like this that we were not able to acknowledge on the radio. Next year, you got to get with us, folks.
Yep.
Next year, you got to let us know. It's hard for us to find everybody doing this. It's easier for you to find us.
Right.
Right? Reach out to us. Reach out to Chastity.
Please.
Email Chastity at WMOQFM.com, and she will get you on the books. You can go live with us on the air. Tell us about your event. We obviously featured the Shop with the Hero, Shop with the Cops at the events that were taken on in Walton, or taking place in Walton County.
Yes.
But these got to be going on everywhere.
I'm sure they are. So
Yeah.
let us know, because we would love to share it.
Absolutely. And even if there's one going on still remaining this year that we're not aware of, it's not too late.
Absolutely.
Chastity at WMOQFM.com. Let her know. Also, let's take that moment and look, the community's been great, because there are guests coming on our show that I don't even know who they are. This is fantastic. You're arranging all kinds of fantastic interviews, Chastity, and that's what the Marc McMain show is all about. It's not about me. It's about the incredible people in our community. And you do not have to be an elected official. You do not have to be some corporate superstar. We interview everybody. If you have a story to tell, if there's something compelling that is interest, if you want to share your life story, like the young lady we had on the other day.
Yes.
Just
very impactful.
Very, very moving. So if you know somebody, or if you are somebody that feel, hey, you know what, I've got a story to tell, whether it be business success, something you've done great for the community, tell us about
That's
it.
right. Even if it helps one person, it's all worth it.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. So tonight, I told you I'm a busy guy this week. Tonight I'm at a celebration. This one is going to be in downtown Winder at the Jug Tavern Park. My friend Alex Ward, he's Barrow County Commissioner.
Yep.
He let me know about this. Now, Alex is Jewish, and this is a Hanukkah celebration. Now, what he sent me, it's actually pronounced in this one, Chanukah, and I did my research, same deal. It's a variation. I guess the traditionalists like to call it Chanukah.
Sure.
But this is a Hanukkah celebration. It's what they call it their public menorah lighting. It's going to take place tonight, 5:30 p.m., Jug Tavern Park. They're going to have donuts, live music, festive vibes, and leading the blessings of Rabbi Chaim Markovitz. I hope I did not butcher his name.
I imagine that'll be beautiful.
Oh, yeah. That's going to be great. I'm going to show support to the Jewish community. I am a Christian, but I stand
Absolutely.
arm in arm with them.
Sure.
And so I'm going to go support for them and my friend Alex Ward, 5:30 tonight. Yeah, this is the time of year. It's fun. Good stuff going on left and right. So let's get to our crazy stories. You know me. I've got some crazy stories queued up for us. This one is Clive Johnson, a 76-year-old retired UK pastor, is set to stand trial on criminal charges for preaching gospel sermon near a hospital in Northern Ireland. So this guy is a minister, and he is going to the abortion clinics, and he's preaching the gospel in front of the abortion clinics. Now, there's a law in Ireland. It's called the Abortion Services Safe Access Zone Act that, I guess, forbids people from influencing those that are going to the clinic, within a certain perimeter of the clinic. So, meaning you can't stand out with a sign that says abortion's terrible, whatever it may be. Mm-hmm. But what this guy is saying is, hey, I'm just preaching the gospel. It wasn't an anti-abortion message. He was just preaching a sermon based on John 3:16. For God so loved the world, he gave his only begotten son. Sure. So he's out there and he's preaching that. And they came and they said, hey, look, if you don't leave, we're going to arrest you. And he refused to leave. So they arrested him. So now he's facing charges. And it actually could be criminal charges in addition to fines. And I was thinking about this. First off, I thank God for Georgia. We have the heartbeat law, which actually was the impetus for the Supreme Court in reversing Roe versus Wade. Thank the Lord for that. But when you go back, and I don't know what Ireland's abortion law is. I have no clue. I haven't researched this in Ireland. But what I can tell you is what this man is doing. Instead of forbidding him from preaching the gospel within a certain distance of these clinics, they should invite him into the clinic. Absolutely. They should have him in the waiting room.
Right.
I mean, that should absolutely be present in hopefully persuading young women from making a decision that they will regret for the rest of their lives. And instead of charging this guy criminally, they should be applauding him and supporting him and maybe inviting him in and letting that message reach more people.
I agree.
33-year-old woman. This one sucks, Chastity. This is bad. A 33-year-old woman out of Texas, not going to say her name. She was arrested in Biloxi, Mississippi after customers found razor blades hidden inside loaves of bread purchased at Walmart. Now, this is in Biloxi, no panic here. But so when I first read this, I thought it was an employee. It's not. She's just some crazy dingbat going into the grocery store and slipping razor blades into the loaves of bread.
Wow. That's just, who thinks like that?
God, and think of the god-awful tragedy that could have come of this. I'm not aware of anybody that actually ate the bread. The employees at Walmart discovered this, and then I guess they were able to go back and do some, with their cameras and their surveillance, figure out who it was. And she looked the part. She was all, she looked like she was a handful. But, man, I'm going to tell you right now, that is frightful if a customer or somebody had bitten into that bread.
Sure.
That was always a concern. My mom, when I was a kid, when I was going out trick-or-treating.
Oh, yes.
That was always the one.
Check the candy.
You check the candy. Nobody stuck a razor blade. I don't think I've ever eaten a piece of candy in my life where I didn't think, is there a chunk of razor blade in here?
We would see that. I think that was a gimmick for them to kind of get first dibs.
That was back in the 70s, too. That was a long time ago for me. There was no social media back then. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Hey, some local stuff. I don't know much about this. We got to get the sheriff on. Maybe he can tell us, or maybe this was under the jurisdiction of Chief R.V. Watts, but there was a shooting last night at the Publix in Monroe. Now, let me explain this. So they responded to a firearm being discharged in the parking lot of the Publix, the pavilion.
Yeah.
Right here.
I'm there like every day.
I was going to stop in last night when this took place. I didn't know this was going on. But officers say the suspect fired a gun into the ground outside the store's parking area. Don't know what's going on with this, if this was a heated event, if it was a misfire. It could have been an accidental event.
Wow.
Still too early because this came out last night. But once the dust settles on this bad boy, we got to have in either, I don't know if this would have been Chief Brooks or if this would be R.V. Watts, because the city of Monroe actually extends into that area. It's kind of an odd shape where it reaches, so I'm assuming that would have been City of Monroe police would have actually responded to that. Mm-hmm. But the dude was charged with reckless conduct along with unspecified additional charges. No injuries reported, thank the Lord. That's right here in our backyard, Chastity.
But yeah, that's crazy. But speaking of Sheriff Brooks, we are going to have him back on the show, so he will be coming the beginning of the year.
Oh, so, good. He can fill us in on all the drama.
Fun.
Oh, he's going to be fantastic. Yeah. Oh, one more. This one hit home for me. A former teacher of the year at Conyers Middle School, not far from our radio station down in Rockdale County, was arrested and booked into Rockdale County Jail on charges of cruelty to children. So I guess this teacher, there's surveillance footage, and I'm laughing, it's not funny. Surveillance footage reports that say the teacher struck a 13-year-old student more than 20 times, hitting him in the head and stomach inside a classroom. Now, this was a former teacher of the year. So something happened where this guy snapped.
That's sad. Because, these kids, a lot of times, their teachers may be their biggest role models. So, and, that's tough.
Doesn't
20
say
times?
Yeah, he unloaded. And I, when I was in middle school, I was a handful. I told you about the time in third grade, my teacher chucked me across the room. I was pushing his buttons too much. 20 times, that's, wow, he's in big trouble. The school system's in trouble over this. And it doesn't say what the interaction was between the student and the teacher. Not that anything would justify 20, unloading, but something pushed this teacher's buttons.
Yep. And got to go. That's not good for our children.
No.
Nope.
No, even if the children are misbehaving, there's a different approach. Right. But wowzers. Wowzers. What a way to start the day.
Right
All
in
right.
our backyard. Sad.
Yeah, right in our backyard. That's right. Right close to us. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. We'll be back with Mike Ricks, the Executive Director of Bethel Haven.
One of the fun parts of Christmas is the dazzling light displays. Some are tasteful and elegant. Others are a little over the top. Whether gaudy or gorgeous, it's hard to imagine Christmas without lights. Yet very few realize why light is so important at Christmas. Man is naturally drawn to spiritual darkness. The Bible says light has come into the world, but people love darkness instead of the light. Here's the hard truth. The light of Jesus exposes the sin in my heart and yours. Fearing that exposure, we reject Him and choose to remain in the dark. Bad mistake. His light keeps us from stumbling through the darkness. Christmas is the annual birthday celebration of Jesus, the light of the world, who came to dispel the darkness. Christmas lights are a reminder of Jesus, who overcame the spiritual darkness of this world. This is Bryant Wright, wishing you a Merry Christmas, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Are you considering selling your house or land, or perhaps find your dream home? Call Stacy McCullers, your trusted real estate expert. With 12 years of experience and a lifelong connection to Walton County, Stacy is here to help you every step of the way. Whether you're buying or selling, she's available anytime to make your real estate journey smooth and successful. Don't wait. Call today, 678-859-6336. A member of Malcolm & Malcolm Realty Professionals. Stacy McCullers, your realtor for life.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our first guest is Mike Ricks. He is the Executive Director of Bethel Haven. They're a counseling organization. Mike, thanks for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Mark.
Absolutely. Tell our listeners a little bit about you, maybe the early years and maybe, where you grew up and how early life shaped your faith.
Early life, huh?
That's a good, polite way of putting it, right?
Hey, man, I turned 60 years old at the end of December. It's hard for me to remember back then, But,
you don't sound a day past 40. You sound great.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate that. Yeah, man, I was raised in the suburbs, taught the fear of Jesus in the suburbs, right outside of Atlanta, Mara, Georgia, and went to church, pretty much all my life with my dad and mom. And at about 15 years old, I felt the call into ministry.
Wow. Okay.
And, like most ministers, I had my own plan, and so I came to the University of Georgia and majored in accounting, which is a great degree for pastors to have. But
yeah, I guess it does help you count the tithes. I mean, at a minimum, it benefits you in that capacity.
In my first 25 years of ministry, I was a youth pastor, 26 years, and at Briarwood Baptist in Oconee County. But anyway, in that, after I did accounting for a year, I really felt Lord, the intensity of my call kind of growing and saying, hey, I've got something else planned for you. I know if your listeners aren't necessarily Christians and they may not understand that, but I just thought it was this calling that I had something else to do.
Well, and I find it interesting. So when you say at 15 years old, because most 15-year-olds, Mike, they're thinking about maybe getting their, motorcycle driver's license, maybe their first job. And here you are at 15, you had already identified, hey, there's something bigger than me that I want to get involved in. That is quite impressive.
Yeah, well, I was aching to drive too, though, Mark. I mean, I can't say I wasn't that. Yes, sir.
We were all at 15 years old. That's what I'm saying. That's what's on our mind. But for you to have that tug in your spirit, that hey, this is where I want to go. Was there an impetus for that? Was there an event? Did something happen when you were younger that you said, man, this is what I want to do. This is where I want to be.
I always attended youth camp in the summer and Church of God youth camp, and I just really, from those beginnings, if you will, I just felt strongly that I was called into ministry. And after high school, I went to Clayton State College, which was Clayton Junior College for then, and then I came to UGA and got really involved in the Baptist Collegiate Ministries and really developed the kind of how to be a minister. And then I went out and worked for a year as an accountant and decided that was not for me. And then I took a job as a part-time youth pastor and started studying management information systems, still trying to have one foot in the church and one foot outside the church.
Right.
But anyway, about 25 years old, I decided I needed to do this full-time, and that's when I became a full-time youth pastor. And now, some 30 years later, I am a part-time pastor again at Bethabara Baptist Church on 78, just down the street from Stripling's General Store. And, hey, man, I don't know if they're a sponsor or not, but they probably should be.
Oh, yeah, they're huge customers of ours, yeah. They sure are.
So people can grab them a biscuit and slide on down to Bethabara. But part-time there and full-time at Bethel Haven Counseling Center. And really felt impressed that I was to help pastors and other community leaders find counseling. It's our mission at Bethel Haven to remove the barriers that stop people from receiving mental health treatment. And
wow,
as you can imagine, the greatest barrier is cost, but there's also a trust barrier that a lot of Christian folks have, a lot of church folks have. Is my therapist, do they share the same worldview that I share? And are they going to try to make me non-Christian, or, is it humanistic? And
right.
So I had the opportunity to share with pastors and parents just exactly, what we believe at Bethel Haven as a staff. And, anyway.
Well, and let's dive into that for a second, because, and I have still got a few more questions about you and your family and background. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Mike Ricks. He's the executive director of Bethel Haven. Mike, tell our listeners, let's dive into Bethel Haven. What do you guys do? Give us the elevator pitch, if you will.
Sure. What we do. The elevator pitch is we're therapists, fully licensed therapists. LPCs, APCs, social work professionals, all the above. Sorry about that, man. My alarm is going off. Therapists. And so people who are looking for a counselor, that's who we are. That's who we are.
Well, and so if somebody comes to you and they're battling a specific issue, is there a variety of types of therapy that y'all offer? Are there specific divisions or separations as to what you do? Right.
CBT is probably the most common, but there's other types of evidence-based therapy that we do, or our therapists do, and yeah. So we have an intake specialist that kind of does the early assessment triage, if you will. That's probably not a good term, but the person would call in and say, "Hey, this is kind of what I'm dealing with," and she would make the assessment of
which direction they need to go. Right.
Exactly.
And let me ask you this, Mike. So in this journey of getting into the ministry, what roles have your family played in supporting you? Because that is a big commitment. Obviously, sometimes the hours are not normal, 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And I know when you're getting into the ministry, you're not necessarily doing this for the pay, right? I'm sure with your skill set, there's other things that you could do where you could earn more money. So it's not for the love of money. You're doing this because of a passion. So how has the family played a role in supporting you?
Yeah, well, I didn't get married until I was 37 years old. Okay, so kind of a late bloomer. And
that is a little late to the game, Mike. That is a little late to the game. But hey, gives you time to clear your thoughts and be sure that you're ultra ready.
my first son came when I was 40 and my wife was 34, 35.
Well, until my buddy Joe, my hockey buddy Joe, had his baby, I think, at 57. I have to ask Joe. Yeah. So
wow.
Yeah, you're late or you're early compared to him. So it's never too late, as my buddy Joe likes to say.
So a lot of times, I'll get up to speak. If I don't know the group, I'll say, "Hey, I look like a grandfather, but I'm just a dad." I haven't reached the status of grandfather yet. Yeah.
Oh, that's
but my mom and dad were always very supportive of me going into ministry. My grandmother, this is kind of funny. My grandmother used to say, "You can do anything, but I don't want you to be one of those Tukey TV pastors."
Did she say pukey?
Yeah, she used the word Tukey. I'm not really sure what Tukey means.
Okay. I thought she said pukey. So your grandma's tough. Your grandma's sometimes they say what they're thinking, man. There's no filter.
One time when I was in college, I came home. I don't know. It wasn't crazy late, but it was stupid late, like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
Grandma was staying with us, over a Christmas or something, and I walked in, and here's this 80-something-year-old woman standing there just staring at me, and I'm thinking she's just up to, get a glass of water or something, and she's like, "I have been up praying for you. Where have you been, and what have you been doing?" And I'm like, "Grandmama."
I've been out preaching the word.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But anyway, my family was very supportive. When I first started in youth ministry, you can imagine there were a lot of, 8th grade girls basketball games to attend and, JV soccer games. And so my schedule was kind of crazy. And so at Christmas time, I may be coming in, on a wing and a prayer after Christmas Eve services, driving home to my parents' house or something, So,
yeah.
But my parents were very supportive of that.
And that's, it's, when you have this journey that you have, where you've spent, decades in the ministry, there's going to be moments where your faith is tested, right? Adversities that are faced. It's hand in hand. I don't care if you're in the corporate world or if you're in the ministry, wherever you are in the political world, there's going to be these moments of adversity. Was there a moment that your faith was tested where you faced adversity, and how did you handle that?
Yeah, man. When I was 21, this is probably before the ministry days, I was still in college. I was in a car accident, and my best friend and his cousin were in the car with me, and they were both killed.
Oh,
we had
mercy.
a driver T-bone us, and for the next year and a half, year and a half, I was really wrestling with my faith. I was probably 21 at the time, junior in college, and it was a life-changing what, from the, crisis of belief, if you will, where I was really struggling with, okay, God, if you're real, why did this happen to me?
Why did this happen? Yeah.
Yeah. Why, and not just why did it happen to me, but why did it happen to them? And, people say crazy things to you after an event like that. And, you're left here for a purpose and a reason. Well, we all have purpose and reason in our lives.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's a heavy weight to put on a kid who's
sure
just lost two great friends.
That is a massive blow, and of course the families of those that were lost. That reverberates.
Oh,
yeah. Yep, it's tough. That is tough.
That was probably the biggest testing of my faith, if you will, or the most challenging experience I had. when I left, I had after I left the accounting world, I went into management information systems, computers. It was just really blossoming.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s.
That was before it was the rage, right?
Exactly. You knew one person who had a laptop and everybody else was just pen and paper people,
Those were the good old days. That's what I call that.
Exactly, bro. I mean, so literally I worked in computers from 9 to 5, but when I went home, I didn't have a laptop. There was nothing there. I left my work at home. So anyway, long story short, when I had the opportunity to go into full-time ministry, I knew that I had to let this job go where I was making, a great living, and I was doing youth pastor stuff on the side. And, that was a time where I really wrestled with the idea of, okay, is God going to be true to me? Is he really going to be enough? And Mark, this is going to sound really silly, but if you have any listeners who are snow skiers, then they may resonate with this. They may, I was like, God, if I quit working at the computer place and just do ministry, I'm never going to get to go snow skiing out west again, Now, I understand that sounds kind of like an immature thing to think at 24, 23 years old.
No, but you get it. Yeah, you're thinking, hey, I'm not going to have the extra money to go do things, the perks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And this is weird to say, but the first year that I was full-time, I went skiing 3 times in Colorado, and 2 of them were completely free.
Yeah, that's something. See how God works? I mean, some doors look like they close and other doors open. And you're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Mike Ricks. He's executive director of Bethel Haven. And we'll close with this for the first segment, Mike. It's crazy how God works, because you hold a Master's of Divinity, your double major in accounting and MIS, but think about how those, even though you're studying that, how that does help, right? I mean,
Exactly.
The accounting and the MIS had to come into some level of importance at some point in the ministry. I mean, that's how God works. He doesn't have you do something for nothing.
Exactly. It's just totally right. I mean, spreadsheets and designated funds and budgets have been a part of my life.
So it applies.
And thank goodness I have all that accounting experience to kind of lean on,
That's right. Well, even if it's not to count your money, but to count somebody else's money. So it'll come into handy some point. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Mike Ricks. When we come back, more learning about Bethel Haven.
Have you been putting off auto repairs? Do you want a body shop you know and trust? Go see Auto Correct Collision. Auto Correct is a family-owned and operated collision center with over 45 years of experience. Their equipment and training exceed industry standards. No repair is too big or small. Ask about the special drawings and mention this ad for a discount. Visit Auto Correct Collision at 409 Mayfield Drive or call them at 770-207-1241.
Here's Evan Youngblood for Youngblood Tractor in Madison.
Did you know Youngblood Tractor is much more than just tractors? Sure, we have the biggest selection of Massey Ferguson tractors around and all the attachments you could ever need. But did you know we also carry the Kawasaki side-by-side lineup like the legendary Kawasaki Mule, Terex, and Ridge? That's Kawasaki's new cab model with heat and AC. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete Spartan zero-turn mower lineup from residential to commercial zero-turn mowers. Combine that with our massive trailer inventory of equipment, dump, enclosed, and utility trailers, you can always build a winning combination at Youngblood Tractor right here in Madison. We also feature a full parts and service department to help maintain your equipment for years to come. Whether you're a full-time farmer, hunter, or property owner looking to maintain your land, Youngblood Tractor is here to make your next outdoor project a success. Call us today at 706-342-2242 or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison or shop us 24 hours a day at youngbloodtractor.com.
Anytime is a great time to make memories at the Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary in Lilburn. Close to home and fun for the entire family. Not only will you see wildlife up close, like bears, otters, bison, and more, you can enjoy a picnic lunch. There's gem mining and so much more. The Yellow River Wildlife Sanctuary, 4525 Highway 78 in Lilburn. Make plans to visit soon. To learn more, go to yellowriverwildlifesanctuary.com.
Welcome back, Marc McMain Show. My guest is Mike Ricks. He's the executive director of Bethel Haven. Chassie, I stuck a mint in my mouth, and I wasn't aware that we're coming out of break, so I'm going to figure out how to chomp this thing up real quick. Mike, let's talk about, what inspired you to take on the role of executive director of Bethel Haven? And we can dig a little bit deeper into the services you offer, and then, of course, we want to hear about some success stories, not naming names, but we want to find out, hey, what is it that you guys are doing, and how can this help?
Certainly. I was working with Georgia Baptist, the Georgia Baptist Convention, for about 5 or 6 years, and through budget crunches that created much in part by COVID, I ended up without a job. And there was this opening at Bethel Haven, and I had some friends in the area who were on the board and recommended me to be the interim director. And I started as the interim director and really developed a love for the staff and the people in the community who were seeking mental health services, counseling, and then about 9 months in, it became full time, and it was just kind of a baptism by fire. But I really saw the need for affordable counseling and decided that's what I want to give myself to.
There's absolutely a need for it, because I feel that there are many people out there in the community, Mike, that don't have resources, that don't have, maybe it's not part of their insurance plan. They need help, and they have nowhere to go.
It's huge. It really is.
What would you say if there's a core to what you do? Is it couples therapy, or where do most people land if they reach out to you? Where do you see the biggest need?
Well, it's really across the board, and it's funny how even it divides between children, young adults, college age adults, and adults, and then couples. Our oldest may be in the mid 70s right now. Okay, and that person may have issues with grief or abandonment by their family. Mm-hmm. We see a lot of folks with anxiety. Anxiety, as you know, is crazy, especially in our teenagers and our college students.
Would you say that's a newfound issue, anxiety? Is that a result? We spend a lot of time in the show talking about the deficit that it creates, the social media and everything that takes place, especially as it pertains to younger people. Is this a new sensation?
Yeah, it really is. Gen Z is, the iPhone generation, if you will. And if you look, when the iPhone came on board, that is when you begin to see the spikes in anxiety in teenagers. And it's just really, you see the chart. It's really spectacular how the comparison is there, or the correlatism is there between social media and instant gratification and the iPhone use and anxiety in teenagers.
I just hate it, Mike, because if you think about this, I'm 55. You're a few years older than me. Back when we were teenagers, compared to teenagers today, back when we were teenagers, you just did stuff. You just did things.
You just did stuff.
And kids nowadays, they worry about stuff.
Exactly.
When we were 12, 14 years old, you didn't lay around on a Saturday afternoon worrying about things. You just went out and did stuff.
No. When you came home from school, when you got off the bus, the bully stayed on the bus, or the bully stayed at the high school or the middle school or wherever you were coming from. But now, that bully follows that student home, and he's there or she's there 24/7
in their heads and on their phones. Yeah,
and the kid who doesn't take a cruise on spring break gets to sit home and look at all their friends and where their friends have gone spring break.
Yeah, and that's the thing. When we were kids, we didn't know what we were missing, so we didn't care. We were happy.
We had no clue, and you think about how much time we spend on our phones scrolling between reels that are, seconds long. What does that do to our attention span, and what does that do to our anxiety? Yeah.
No, it's a concern, a major concern. Yeah, so I imagine that is a big part of your ministry is helping those young people. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Mike Ricks. He is the executive director of Bethel Haven. We're discussing the various services that they offer. Something that when I was doing my research on this last night, Mike, that I was really impressed with too, is that you have a sliding fee scale. Is that right? To be sure that your services are accessible by everybody. I love that.
We do. We have some great sponsors that help us with grants. Walton EMC, Jackson EMC, and others, the Athens I Love You group, and just so many others that lend a hand and help us see people. There's several churches in the area, several businesses that help. That doesn't mean the need's not still great, but there's a lot of people who are jumping in and supporting. So much so that last year, 60% of the folks that came to Bethel Haven did so at a greatly reduced fee or through one of those miracle grants were free. And so 60% of our services went out the door, and they were those services were actually costing us money. So yes, we do have a great sliding scale, and when the sliding scale isn't enough, then we do what we can to find money in other places.
Well, and I love that, because if somebody's listened to this show and they're battling an issue, like you said earlier, whether you're later in life and it's the abandonment, man, that's something that always just breaks my heart. You think about somebody who's in their 70s or 80s and they don't have family. They don't have somebody that's there.
It's terrible.
Or if you're a couple and you're battling marital issues, or if you're a young person with the anxiety things that we just discussed, Mike, you got to reach out. No one's going to do it for you. You got to reach out, and they will get you taken care of. And it doesn't matter. Money won't be an issue. They'll make this work if you don't have the resources. Mike, are you able to share? And I don't want to jeopardize any confidentiality, but are there any stories that come to mind that you want to say were success stories, or stories that you found blessings in that you guys were able to reach somebody and really get them back on their feet?
Yeah, I have no idea. So I'm not violating anybody's privacy agreement here, because I have no idea what this person's name is. Mm-hmm. But we had an individual several years ago who was literally so anxiety ridden that he was in bed. Okay.
Wow.
And his life had taken a few tough turns, and he was in bed and would not get out of bed, and started his therapy literally with telehealth.
Wow.
Through the miracle of telehealth. And just a few weeks in, he was beginning to see his therapist in person, and then he was beginning to go about his life routine. And it just tickled me that, here's a person who was literally paralyzed in their bed, and through therapy, found some relief.
Well, think about that. We've all had those mornings where you don't want to get up. I mean, things are crashing. I mean, you had your event where it was devastating to you, and I'm sure there's mornings you woke up and like, I ain't doing it today. I just don't feel like it. I don't have the gumption.
I don't feel like doing it today.
And imagine that darkness has overwhelmed you so much that, the next thing you know, it's the next day, and now it's a week, and it's like, I'm just done. I'm giving up. And so I love that. I mean, that's a great example of how you guys can help somebody who's in that just point of despair. Mike, beyond counseling, I doing my research, Bethel Haven engages in community other ways. I know you guys have internships, partnerships, and then I found something called the Hopeful Holiday. Tell us about that. Is that still something y'all do?
Yeah, we've done the Hopeful Holiday event for the last 4 years. The first 3 years, it looked like a banquet where our supporters came in, and we kind of rallied around the cause and raised some money. And then this year, it looked like a drop-in at the office where we were just strictly educating people on the services that Bethel Haven offered. And our banquet is actually going to be at the end of April. So we're really excited about having a vision dinner. I shouldn't use the banquet, but I should say a vision dinner. We're having a vision dinner in April that'll take the place of the Hopeful Holiday banquet that was used to be in December. But it was our big fundraiser. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that's an opportunity for people within the community, if they want to get involved and support your efforts, that's where they can come in and learn more about you. Is that what that's designed for?
Exactly. And hopefully all that's available on the website through our partnership drop down there. Mm-hmm.
And if somebody does want to contact you guys, is the best thing to go to the website and give us that address, or is there a phone number that you prefer they call?
That is BethelHaven.net.
That's
or
easy.
they could call me directly.
Well, and looking ahead, what is the vision for the next 5 to 10 years for Bethel Haven? What's on the horizon for y'all?
We would really like to see those resources accumulate so that we could truly say there's no one out there who needs mental health therapy who's not able to get it. That's where we want to be. That if a person has the ability to pay, they certainly are welcome to do that. But we want to be that place where people can come for services, even if they know that they can't afford it.
I think this is a great resource. I did not know you guys existed. I'm glad I learned about you. I'm really excited that we're able to hopefully shed some light on what you guys are doing at Bethel Haven.
And we really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. And we pray that our listeners, that anyone that's battling something, that they reach out to you. So one more time, the website is bethelhaven.net. Is that correct?
That's it. And listen, I mean, statistics, you can say anything with statistics, but the statistics say that only 1 out of 12 people who need help seek out a mental health professional. So we want to see that number change. We want to see people who are hurting with anxiety, depression, whatever their mental health issue is, we want to see them get help.
Yeah, I wonder if that's, if it's the stigma that comes along with it, if people are ashamed, or if it's really, truly, Mike, this lack of knowledge of that it exists, right? People maybe are out there and they're just thinking, hey, I don't have an option. I don't have a close friend, or I don't maybe have a family member I can share this battle, this issue that I'm dealing with. And that's where I think it's incumbent upon us, people like us, whether it's in radio or print or wherever it may be, to help give more exposure to entities like yours so that we're connecting those dots. Because I can tell you, your services are needed, my friend. There's absolutely no doubt. We're a society that's struggling with a myriad of issues and like you said at the beginning of the interview, all ages.
All ages.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so we have therapists who are younger. We have therapists who are in their 70s. So we have 13 total therapists, and we're ready to help,
And I'm sure there's no problem that somebody has that you guys haven't already seen.
Oh yeah, I think you're probably right, but it's always surprising, that's for sure.
Oh, I bet. Well, you're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Mike Ricks, Bethel Haven Executive Director. Mike, we appreciate you joining us today, and we'll be praying for you guys and wish you all the best.
Mark, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity.
Absolutely. Folks, when we come back, Jared Calloway, he's on the Barrow County School Board. We're going to learn more about him.
Folks, are you tired of the hustle and bustle of the malls? Remember as a kid when you would go to the store with your grandparents and pick out your favorite candy? Come to Patrick's in Covington for an old-fashioned Christmas that will take you back to those times. They have the largest selection of old-time candy in the area. Favorites include orange slices, pralines, coconut macaroons, chocolate-covered peanuts, and peanut clusters. Patrick's also has fresh whole shelled pecans as well as glazed, bourbon, cinnamon, roasted, salted, chocolate-covered, and other flavors. If you want a gift you know your family will love, choose from their fresh fruit basket or a gift basket of home-style preserves, chow-chow, candy, and other goodies. Don't see exactly what you want? Gather up the goodies you'd like from the large selection of candies, preserves, and pecans, and they'll make a custom gift just for you. Whether you want to relive these happy childhood memories or make new ones with your children and grandchildren, go to Patrick's for a Christmas that will take you back in time. Start your own family tradition at Patrick's, located on the Bypass in Covington, 770-786-3220.
Lake Life is the Lake area's largest award-winning magazine, reaching over 25,000 readers. Pick up your copy of Lake Life magazine today. Get Lake Life free at over 100 convenient locations in Georgia's Lake Country. And keep in mind, you'll receive your free copy with a subscription to the Lake Oconee News or the Eatonton Messenger. Lake Life. It's all about the lives and events in Georgia's Lake Country. Call 706-485-3501 to subscribe. Lake Life, the biggest, the best, and it's free.
Cassie Enterprises invites you to stop in and see their new line of Coyote brand tractors, UTVs, and Bad Boy zero-turn mowers. Coyote tractors have the power to handle any job. Working on the farm, landscape business, and more, Coyote tractors are dependable and ready to work for you. Sales, service, parts, and more. It's all available at Cassie Enterprises. Family owned and operated. 145 Highway 83 in Good Hope. Go to CassieTractor.com.
One of the fun parts of Christmas is the dazzling light displays. Some are tasteful and elegant. Others are a little over the top. Whether gaudy or gorgeous, it's hard to imagine Christmas without lights. Yet very few realize why light is so important at Christmas. Man is naturally drawn to spiritual darkness. The Bible says light has come into the world, but people love darkness instead of the light. Here's the hard truth. The light of Jesus exposes the sin in my heart and yours. Fearing that exposure, we reject him and choose to remain in the dark. Bad mistake. His light keeps us from stumbling through the darkness. Christmas is the annual birthday celebration of Jesus, the light of the world, who came to dispel the darkness. Christmas lights are a reminder of Jesus, who overcame the spiritual darkness of this world. This is Bryant Wright, wishing you a Merry Christmas, speaking right from my heart.
For devotions, visit rightfromtheheart.org.
Welcome back, Marc McMain Show. Chassie, that was a great interview. What a great service that Bethel Haven offers.
Absolutely.
Didn't even know they existed.
Yes.
So I'm glad that WMOQ is able to help shine a little light on what they're doing, maybe connect some dots, right?
Yes. I love their resources they have available. So
I do too.
Amazing interview.
Yep. Our next guest, Jared Calloway. He's the Barrow County School Board Army veteran. Jared, thanks for joining us, sir.
Thanks for having me, Mark. How are you today, man?
Good, good. You know, you and I, we cross paths quite often when I'm out in Barrow County in one form or another. And when I was doing my little analysis of who Jared Calloway really is, I did not know the extent of your military experience. So I first want to say thank you for your service to our country.
Yes, sir. I appreciate it.
So walk us through your life. You know, tell us about Jared Calloway. Tell us about your time, you know, in the military. I realize you had a quite a long career, 16 years as an infantryman. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So how did you go from there to get involved into politics?
So I think just getting at a young age, September 11th happened when I was still in high school, and just immediately felt the call to serve.
Yeah.
Had a great-grandfather that served in World War II and died in combat, and so kind of wanted to continue that legacy and the family tradition, and then just had real supportive family. You know, grew up in church and, you know, had a good foundation from my parents, and just wanted to continue to, you know, serve the greater good and be a part of something bigger than myself. So joined the infantry. I did a combat tour in 2004, 2006, that time frame to Iraq, and then 2009 to 2010 in Afghanistan.
Wow.
Did a couple of different overseas training missions, and loved every minute of it. But, you know, at the end of it, my body just couldn't keep up, so I medically retired after 16 years through some injuries in Iraq that just kept wearing me down.
I can't imagine the toll. Yeah.
Yeah, and then just trying to face your demons. You know, the last guest was talking about mental health. That was one of my biggest struggles, was accepting, you know, in the military you're taught, oh, you're tough, you know, suck it up.
Right,
you know,
right.
And even though I was raised in a church setting, I didn't come to relationship with God. I knew Him in my head, and I had the scriptures memorized and that kind of stuff, but I never had a relationship with the Lord until I was 30 years old. And that's when kind of everything started to change for me, and I realized that I needed to get some mental health resources. So sought some mental health resources, went through Emory Healthcare Veterans Program in Atlanta, and it's a 2-week intensive outpatient program there off 85, and the team was phenomenal. I tried other counselors, I tried other different ventures of seeking help, but you really feel like they're a part of your family as you go through the program, and they love you and care about you. And so my life was transformed going through that, and after coming into relationship with Christ, and then as I sat around the house, I was like, you know, I need to get back to serving somewhere.
You still felt had that calling. Yeah, did you want to participate?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, and so I have 3 amazing kids and a beautiful wife that supports me in everything that I do.
What a blessing.
Yes, sir. But my kids, out of my kids, there 2 girls, 14 and 6. The 6-year-old obviously runs the whole house. But then I have a 12, almost 13-year-old son who's autistic, and for years was mostly nonverbal. Still is. I felt the calling to get involved, so I started during COVID. They shut down the schools and all that, and so I went and met with some of the school leaders in Barrow County and was like, what can we do to get my son back in school, because he needs these services, otherwise he's going to fall further and further behind.
Yep.
And anyways, came to pass. I actually put in an application for the parent mentor position, which is a state DOE-funded position in about 72 counties. And I became the parent mentor, did that for 4 years, so I just helped other families with special needs kids and would sit through IEP meetings. It's a lot as a special needs parent to understand all of the intricacies and the lingo that educators use. And so I was kind of there as just another parent to kind of talk their language. And so did that for 4 years, and as I was doing it, I saw a couple board positions. Obviously, I got more engaged with the Board of Ed, working with them. And so I said, I need to put my name in the hat and be a parent that has a special needs kid that serves this community and has a voice for that population as well as the population that I serve out here in District 5. So
that is just fantastic.
That's kind of how it came to be.
Just fantastic. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Jared Calloway. He is on the Barrow County School Board, but Jared is so much more. I am really impressed as to everything that you've done, from serving our country to seeking help. Seeking help as you were struggling with some issues, and then rolling your sleeves back up and getting involved again, and just constantly looking for, hey, how can I help and how can I participate? Before we dig into that, because my producer, Chastity, she's over here nodding your head. You're speaking her language. She's very involved in that community. But before we dig into some of those questions there for a second, Jared, I wanted to ask you this. Do you feel that we are doing a better job? When I say we, whether it be the government or whether it be the just regular citizens, in recognizing that our veterans, that they come back and they have witnessed or they've been through some traumatizing experiences, they need help. Are we getting better at recognizing that and addressing those needs?
Absolutely. I think the plethora of programs that exist nationwide today, we are so blessed as a generation of warfighters that came back from Iraq and Afghanistan that our predecessors from Vietnam, Korea, even World War II and World War I, they did not receive the same. No. Even if they were received welcoming, nobody ever wanted to address the underlying issues of mental health and what war does on a mind.
It breaks my heart to think of course, what's closer to me, the Vietnam veterans. I have many friends who many now have passed that were Vietnam veterans. Several of them are still alive. But you're right. The only phrase I can use for the Vietnam veterans is, I feel we left them out to dry.
Absolutely.
And it's just heartbreaking. And we, those guys, many of them were 18 years old when they were drafted and went into, a horrific war zone. So I was just curious about that. Chastity, you're nodding your head. You speaking your language on the special needs.
I agree with that too, but I really appreciate Jared's advocacy work and helping families navigate through IEPs, because there is a lot of rules and things. So to have that extra support, because sometimes you just feel alone. So the advocacy work and then leading, just amazing. So thank you, Jared.
Yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. So on the board, how are things going? How long have you been commissioner?
So I took office on the school board over District 5 in January of this year, and it has been an amazing year. You have 4 brand new people on our board, so obviously there's a lot. Your first year that you have to. It's just like being in the Army. You have to build those relationships. You have to build that trust between each other.
Yeah, you're learning the ropes. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And sometimes I think I thought that initially, like, you could just come in and shake it all up, and that's just not how life really works.
Right.
And you can't flip it all on its head, and that's not always the answer anyways. And so listening to some of the institutional wisdom, I think our our chair, Lisa Maloof, and our superintendent, Dr. Dallas LaDuff, have done a phenomenal job of incorporating a bunch of training for the board on governance and on just like setting our priorities as a board. We are a 9-person board. That is a lot of people.
That is
to get on the same page.
Yeah.
So it has been awe inspiring. I love listening to all the history and stories of all the board members that have served long before me that are still serving with me. But I love serving our community. I love being out here, and I try to get in the schools as much as I can, read to kids, and I just have the time. So that's kind of where God put me, where He's got me right now.
That's what I'm saying. There's no better way. It seems like you keep stepping up to help. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Jared Calloway. He is the Barrow County School Board. What do you see are some of the most pressing challenges facing the school boards today, whether it be Barrow County or just any of the school boards in our immediate area?
Yeah, I think definitely like some of the state funding issues. There's always pass-throughs. The state and the counties will oftentimes share expenses, whether it's with TRS or healthcare costs or whatever. And if the state reduces the amount that they're paying, either we have to step up as a county, and the taxpayers don't understand. That's our largest expense. So this past year, the push down to us was $20 million. And increased costs for healthcare and TRS for our staff. But after FTE, it equated down to about $8 to $10 million. But that's passed on to the taxpayer. And so I think really just educating, and I think we've been in this stagnant state of apathy in a lot of communities since COVID, where people just aren't as involved, aren't as engaged. And how do we as a Board of Education excite education again and engage parents in a new way to get them involved with the school system and to realize that they're a part of the team. And
I think that's the first step in a degradation of a school system, is when parents take their hands off the wheel and they quit attending. Do they call them PTAs anymore?
Yeah, PTOs. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it's called back when I was a kid, was PTA. Well, I think I do mean it when I say that. I think the minute that the parents stop paying attention to what's going on in the school system is the first step where things deteriorate. So I love that. I think that keeping them engaged is critically important, not just so that they know their teachers and they know the grades. They need to know the leadership. They need to know the direction that the school board is going, that the superintendent, what their mission is. And so I think that's a vital thing. How do you continue to communicate that to parents to keep them engaged?
Well, I think we've done a great job. We're currently working on our 5-year strategic plan in Barrow County. We do one every 5 years. And so we had a big community event, and we packed out the part of Bethlehem Church that we utilized for that event. We had over 300 citizens, parents, teachers, staff. Everybody showed up. And so I truly believe we're moving in the right direction, and I think it's just continuing to offer them accessibility to those meetings and to know that their voices are heard and valued when they show up.
That's fantastic. Just fantastic. Jared, I greatly appreciate you taking the time to share your insight, to share your story with us. You are quite the young man, and I look for it. Matter of fact, I'm going to be in Barrow County tonight. Are you going to be at the event tonight in Jug Tavern Park?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, well, then I'll be seeing you in just a matter of hours, my friend.
Yes, sir. You have a great day. I appreciate you having me on the show, and keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely appreciate you. That's Jared Calloway. He's on the Barrow County School Board. What a great story, Chastity. And I think my favorite part of this show is when I go to do my research, and Jared's a friend of mine. I've met Jared many times, and you do the research to prepare yourself for the interview. And I typically do it the day before, so it's fresh in my mind and that it's relevant information. And you start finding out these nuggets about people. It's like, wow, I didn't know this. I didn't know that. So what a blessing.
I love what he's doing in Barrow County, and keeping everybody on the same page is very imperative.
Well, and you can see he's very clear and concise about what his mission is.
Yes.
So he's a great communicator as well. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. When we come back, Matt Whitley, U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, and West Point graduate will be joining us.
This is Q92.3, WMOQ FM, Bostwick, Monroe, Madison. Your home for real country.
This Christmas, K&D Shoes and Conyers has got the perfect gifts for the man on your Christmas list. Check out their huge selection of rugged workwear to athletic footwear from Hoka. Help him step out in style, and a brand new pair of jeans from Ariat. Great for work or a night on the town. If boots are on the Christmas list, see their great selection of boots from Ariat, Georgia Boot, Rocky, Brunt, and more. Not sure what to buy? Then check out the gift cards. One size fits all. This Christmas, your one-stop shop for the man on your Christmas list is K&D Shoes. Open Monday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sunday from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. 2240 Dogwood Drive in Conyers. That's K&D Shoes in Conyers. To learn more, go to kndshoes.com. Merry Christmas from K&D Shoes.
Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to mainstreetbarberloganville.com to learn more.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm Josh Parker, fourth generation owner, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Mondays for lunch and Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our next guest is a friend of mine. I met him at the Monroe Rotary Club. His name is Matt Whitley. He is a U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, and a West Point graduate. Matt, thanks for joining us, sir.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It was good seeing you at the party last night, the Monroe Rotary Club party, or it's the Rotary Club of Monroe is the formal way to say it.
Yeah, I think that's formally how we say it.
It was a good Christmas party last night at the McDaniel Tishner house, so we got to come and see everybody. Since I've started the show, Matt, my show goes noon to 2 daily, and the Rotary Club of Monroe meets Tuesdays at noon, so I have not seen you guys in well over 3 months now.
Right. It was good to see you last night.
Yeah, I forgot what everybody looks like.
Yeah.
Matt, let's start at the beginning. Where did you grow up? Tell us about some of your earliest memories that shaped the person that you are.
Yeah, so I grew up in Monroe, and what shaped kind of my journey to being in the Army and West Point is most of my family has been in the military. Both of my grandfathers were in World War II. My mom's dad was in the Navy and was on a submarine and was a Japanese prisoner of war for 2 years.
Are you kidding?
And got rescued. I think this was in the movie Oppenheimer, where they went to another target to drop the atomic bomb. Well, my grandfather was in a factory in the first target, and they moved. So I really lucked out with that one.
That is bizarre.
Yeah, and then once the first atomic bomb dropped, all the guards left, and that's how they got rescued. They got on the radio and said, hey, there's a bunch of POWs here.
Did you ever get to meet your grandfather?
Yeah, he died in 2003, so I spent a lot of time with him. And like him and my dad's father, something interesting about that generation, never talked about what they did. Never. So the silent generation was true, and it was kind of humbling to hear them go through a ton of stuff and just never talk about it.
We referenced that with the guest that was just on, Jared Calloway. He's on the school board in Barrow County. Mm-hmm. And we learned that Jared was a veteran, 16 years infantry, Army, and that he needed help. He knew he went through some things and he needed help. He sought help and he got help.
Right.
And I don't think that was available to our guys, our veterans of World War II, especially not World War I. And even the Vietnam War veterans didn't have that accessible to them.
Right. I think they kind of decompressed with all the reunions they did. They were big on having reunions every year and stuff, and that's where they kind of vented and talked through some stuff there.
Was there a particular influence, maybe a parent, coach, or teacher outside of the military that instilled some values in you, like leadership at a young age?
It was like definitely my dad and my uncle. Like they were in the Army as well. My uncle, a Vietnam veteran. My dad's dad, a World War II veteran, D-Day, did all that stuff. And my dad, who was also an Army helicopter pilot. So.
Okay, so you followed in Dad's footsteps. And we're not going to steal the next segment's thunders, but no surprise, it's already in your intro that you were a helicopter pilot for the Army. Tell him about Dad's journey. What did he fly?
So he went to the University of Georgia and did ROTC, and he was a tanker for about 4 years as a platoon leader. And then back then, they were recruiting a lot of tankers to fly Cobras because in the military, attack helicopters are designed to destroy tanks.
Yeah.
So they took a lot of tank officers to fly Cobras because they knew all the tank maneuvers.
They knew the tactics and what they were going to do.
Yeah.
Do they still fly the Cobra? Is that in the military anymore, or has that been phased out?
The Marine Corps flies the Cobra, but they've upgraded it to where it's very similar to an Apache helicopter.
Got you. Okay. Interesting. I see that you attended George Walton Academy.
Yep.
What role did that play in your development?
That was an awesome experience. Really set the groundwork, both academically, and I was able to play a lot of sports where it set me up for success at West Point. And other George Walton Academy alumni that have gone to service academies have said the same thing, like just the structure of how to study and do homework definitely sets them up for college very well.
I've seen that with both of my boys. There's no doubt that a special attention to rigor really prepares you. And I tell people this, if it depends on what trajectory you want for your child. And we were blessed with some fantastic public school systems throughout this entire area. We just had Jared on, who's on the school board for Barrow County. But if you have the calling or you feel that there's a reason for you to have your child at a private school, some of these schools, they lay it on them as far as homework and what they expect of them. And what happens is, what translates is when you get to college, there's no shock to the system for a young person. When you get there, it's like, hey, so I've been doing this for 4 years.
Exactly, yeah. Because the way Georgia Walton prepared me, I actually graduated very high in the class at West Point, and that was because all the academics I'd either already done or had the foundation to know how to study and prepare for everything. So
when I saw what my kids went through at George Walton Academy, I realized as a young person I would have never made it through George Walton Academy, much less the service academy. I graduated very low in my class, Matt. But you know what? It gave me good trajectory because I could only go up from there.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. My guest is Matt Whitley, U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, West Point graduate. We're going to get into that in the second segment. Matt, at what point did it hit you that, hey, I want to attend one of the service academies? Did anybody in whether fathers, grandfathers, did any of them go through the service academies?
No, my cousin on my mom's side did. He's 2 years older than me, but we were kind of disconnected for a while. It's actually an unusual path. I did not know what West Point was. I had planned to go to UGA and do ROTC like my dad, and we just saw an ad in the paper from our congressman to send in resumes for his service academy nomination. And I told my dad, hey, I'm not politically connected. I'm not really the best student at George Walton. I'm not going to get in. And he said, hey, let's just do it and see what happens. And that's how it started.
That's where it was born.
Yeah.
Very similar story for my son. Same thing. I don't think we really knew much about the service academies, right? Because my son is the first in our family to serve. I never served. And so there wasn't a big awareness of what they offered. And 2 years prior to my son graduating from George Walton Academy, a young lady had graduated and was on her way to the Naval Academy. That was our first experience. Was they recognized her at the graduation ceremony, and we're like, "Hey, what is this?" So that was where it was born from. But so before West Point, you had some other. So it was UGA. That was your plan.
Yeah, exactly. One, living near Athens and having a lot of family as UGA alumni, you're kind of grown up to be a bulldog for life.
Oh yeah, so. Right. We sit in the shadows of between the hedges.
Yeah.
What did the family think when you said, "Hey, I think I want to do something different"?
They were all for it. Obviously, West Point's a much better school. Just objectively, it is. So they were all about it once I got accepted. So
very, very hard to get into the service academies. We're going to dedicate an entire show in January to that process. I tell our listeners that if you have a son or daughter who has demonstrated the interest and aptitude to attend a service academy, and keep in mind, I want to say the acceptance rate floats around 6%, depending upon which academy that you go to. They're going to be expected to perform not just academically, Matt,
right,
but physically, And you got to really demonstrate more than that. You have to demonstrate a certain amount of leadership and some other critical tools that they're looking for before they let you in.
Yeah, you have to be not only well-rounded, but kind of good at everything, and that's by design because it's a federally funded institution. So,
what we plan on doing, this is going to be a show where we bring in hopefully an expert that can kind of guide us on the overall encompass. And then my goal was, Matt, what I think would be kind of fun is if we had graduates that have completed their service to our country, so we don't put anybody on the spot, but we have graduates to come back from each of the service academies, because you have West Point, you've got Annapolis, you've got the Air Force Academy, you've got the Merchant Marine Academy, and then, of course, you got the Coast Guard Academy, too.
Right.
But I guess I just learned this, the Coast Guard Academy is not administered through the congressional approval process.
Right, because recently the Coast Guard is now under the Department of Homeland Security instead of the Department of War. So
Interesting. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Matt Whitley. Matt, we're going to take a break in just a minute. Before we do that, tell us, were there any other moments in your childhood or developmental time as a student at any of the schools that you attended where there was, say, a situation or event that took place that you realize made an impact on you, whether it was to finally push you over to make the decision, I'm going to go into the military, or something that directed your path?
I would say one big moment for me was there was a juvenile court judge in Walton County, George Hearn, and he became sort of a mentor to me. His father was the Adjutant General of Georgia, and he himself was in the Army. And he came up to me and he said, "Hey, I could have gone to West Point. I went to Georgia. That's actually the biggest regret I have in my life." And I was like, wow, if this man who's accomplished so much said that,
wow,
that really kind of solidified my decision to go.
Yeah, because you're aware that this was it's a major shift, right? Going to UGA, that means fun on the weekends, fun just about every night. To West Point, you're up at 5 a.m., you're doing push-ups every morning.
Yeah, no fun at all.
Fun at all. Yeah. I think I've heard some people describe Annapolis as the most beautiful prison, in the world. It's not your typical college experience. And so, but now here you are, you're hearing from somebody that you have tremendous respect for, saying, don't miss out.
Exactly, yeah.
No,
so.
I love it. Marc McMain Show. When we come back, more with Matt Whitley.
Looking for that perfect piece of jewelry designed just for you? At P&A Jewelers, family owned since 1976, we've been helping our customers shine for nearly 50 years. Now proudly run by second-generation brother and sister team, we specialize in custom jewelry design, expert repair work, and fine jewelry for every occasion. Visit P&A Jewelers, where family tradition sparkles. Located in Loganville beside Quick Trip, or online at shoppajewelers.com. Follow us on Facebook to see what's new.
Get a great deal on a Kubota tractor, built to work, built to last, and as dependable as you are. Right now, write it off the lot and write it off your taxes with 0 down, 5.49% APR up to 84 months, plus instant cash discount and 2 years orange protection warranty. Now through December 31st. Consult your tax advisor. Details at KubotaUSA.com.
Your Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, 545 Highway 11 South and Social Circle. Go to HayesTractor.com.
Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection, and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
Your family and friends will love the Christmas gifts from Stripling's General Store. See their huge selection of holiday gift boxes with smoked sausage, country cured ham, beef jerky, jellies, old-fashioned hoop cheese, barbecue sauce, and more. Choose a pre-made box, or you can put together a box that fits your needs and budget. Jimmy Cap, his family and staff wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Stripling's General Store, Highway 78 East and Highway 53 in Bogart.
Finding that missing shin guard, remembering whether it's a home or away game, getting the right kid to the right playing field on the right day. Why are simple things sometimes so complicated? Thankfully, with auto owners, insurance doesn't have to be one of them. We work with independent agents who keep insurance simple so you can worry about more important things, like not being that fan.
Oh, come on, Ref.
This is Esther Peters at Jim Boyd & Associates, Madison, Georgia, 706-342-2411 or jimboydagency.com.
Hey folks, as we wrap up the year, there's no better time to take care of those everyday aches and pains. At the Joint Chiropractic in Covington and Monroe, we make feeling better simple with no appointments and no insurance hassles. And right now, it's our end of year promotion. Buy 10 months and get 2 months free on our annual wellness plan. That's 16% or more in savings to help you move better, feel better, and enjoy more of what you love. Stop by the Joint Chiropractic in Covington or Monroe today. Walk in, get adjusted, and feel the difference.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Matt Whitley. He is a U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, and West Point graduate. So, Matt, before we dig into your experience at West Point, let's talk about Army-Navy. You and I swapped a couple text messages. You know my son's Naval Academy, so I pull one way, you pull another, but that was a heck of a game.
It was. I'm glad it was close. It was not close when I was a cadet there. Now the rivalry is a little more even, so it's better for everybody.
I love it because no matter, like, Navy had a great year this year, and there's been events where the Army's had great years, and no matter what, that game's always, always means something.
Exactly, yeah. That's like most rivalry games. What I tell people is different from Georgia, Florida. Like from day one at both schools, it's either beat Navy or beat Army. Like it's in your DNA for life. So.
I thought about this because the Air Force Academy is obviously a great place. It's a stellar learning institution. And those games, when Navy plays Air Force or Army plays Air Force, it's a big deal. But Air Force is excluded from that really precious rivalry. Nobody ever says beat Air Force, right? It's right. Beat Army, beat Navy. Where's the origin from that? Is that because the Air Force came around later?
Yeah, the Air Force was actually part of the Army until after World War II, and the Air Force Academy didn't exist until 1950. And what we like to frequently tell Air Force people is a lot of West Point graduates went to the Air Force Academy to set it up. So they owe a lot to us for their entire existence.
The Air Force Academy is a product of Army's intelligence.
Basically.
That's right. I love that. Let's talk about the application process. And we're not going to steal any thunder from what we're going to do in January. This is all great reiteration because I cannot emphasize enough. If you have a son, daughter, grandson, granddaughter that is looking to get into a service academy, pay attention. And we do record this show, so it will be available on a podcast format on our website. It takes about a day for it to pop up there. But if you have somebody that is demonstrating the aptitude or interest in getting involved, listen closely. So, Matt, let's start. If you are, and ideally the sooner the better. I tell people it's 8th, 9th, 10th grade is when you really need to start maybe laying the groundworks.
Right.
My son, I don't know if you were a late arrival. My son didn't really get on board with this till the 11th grade, which is not too late. But if you're a senior right now, it really is almost too late to get in for this year.
It is too late now for this year.
And there's still a path for a senior. That would be to go through one of the Service Academy preparatory schools, right?
Yes, or they have slots if you enlist in the Army or then in the military, or if you go to college and do ROTC for a year. There are also a few slots for those too.
Gotcha. Yeah. So it doesn't mean if you're a senior now, there's no path to get into a Service Academy. You're going to have to hop through more hoops, or there may be some other initiatives you have to do in order to get in. So let's talk about the application to West Point. What's the first step?
So what I like to tell people is what separates the service academies from every other college is you need to be nominated by a member of Congress. So either your congressman, one of your 2 senators, or the vice president. That alone should let people know, hey, this is like a big deal.
Yeah.
So, and that process is its own thing. So that's probably the most important thing. You also have to do a physical fitness test. You have to get letters of recommendation from numerous teachers, and you also have to have a Department of Defense physical that's free, but they have to medically validate that you're eligible.
Very thorough.
Very thorough, yes. And that's to make sure you're eligible for military service.
Yeah, so I remember for Matthew when he was going through this on the physical fitness test, you're right, it was administered by one of the coaches at GWA, and they had to sit there and they had a list of things that they had to check off.
Yep.
And it was no joke. This is not, hey, do 10 push-ups, 5 sit-ups, and run a mile. It was it was pretty arduous stuff they're asking them to do.
Yeah, it's not pass fail. It's do the best you can in each event because you're competing with like everyone in the country for scores. So.
Yeah. So the more you do, the better you perform, the higher you rank on that.
Right.
And then going back to the physical side, they do a deep dive. You know, if there's medication that you're on, if you had surgery in the past, if you've had ailments, that's all going to rise to the top, and they're going to determine, is that an exclusionary issue?
Right, exactly. And they're actually backlogged right now for the incoming class, so
Are they?
the sooner the better people get on that.
You currently, are you on the nominating board for Congressman Mike Collins? Is that something that you do?
Yeah, I am, and I'm also a liaison for the West Point Admissions Department for this congressional district, too.
So what does that mean? So if somebody's demonstrating interest, that you can kind of advise them or give them some direction?
Yeah, I can advise them. I can give them materials, help them through the application. And something I also found out, I can add comments to their file as an alumni that the admissions department reads and takes extremely seriously.
So the Navy's version of this is the blue and gold officer, I'm assuming.
Right.
Is that, and what is the name of your?
It's called a field force representative because Army has to have Army terms for everything. It's not really like the best description of it, but basically I'm a liaison, a volunteer alumni that helps out with applicants.
I think a Black Knight officer sounds better.
That sounds way better than field force representative.
That would be great. You're listening to the Marc McMain Show. Our guest is Matt Whitley, U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, West Point graduate. We're talking about maybe the first steps. If you have a son, you have a daughter, grandson, granddaughter that's demonstrating interest, and even if they're not, if you are recognizing in one of your children or one of your grandchildren that they're not just brilliant, that they're also athletically fit, they're accomplished, and that they just have that certain something, that little special edge to them, whether it be in leadership or just something that they bring to the table, you may want to consider this. Matt, what would you suggest to somebody who's maybe in that situation where they don't know, like myself, prior to, I didn't know much about the academies. What's the first thing? Would they go to the website? Is there a good landing zone for them?
Yeah, they can go to any of the Service Academy websites and get more information about that. One thing I've been doing lately is sending people the introduction videos a few years for the Army-Navy game, because I think CBS did a really good job of kind of explaining what cadets and midshipmen go through, so that kind of sets the tone as well. One thing our Congressman, Mike Collins, does very well is every August he has a Service Academy Day for members of the district. That's incredible. It lays out expectations, how to go through the nomination process. I'm pretty sure every academy sends admissions department representatives to that day. No other congressional district is doing this. I wish this would have happened when I was going through the process. It's incredible.
Yeah, so Matthew attended that. It was Congressman Heiss at the time. Matthew attended that. Did they still hold it out in Milledgeville? Is that where they do it?
Now they do it at Prince Avenue in Bogart.
So it's more strategically low. So think of this, folks.
Yeah.
Prince Avenue, Bogart, right down the road, no matter where you are in our listener area, that's not more than a 20-minute drive from just about everybody in the WMOQ umbrella of coverage. And that is in August?
It's usually in August because that's when the applications need to start happening, before the school year starts.
And this is almost like a convention where you can kind of go in and you have the different service academies and the representatives will be there answering questions, maybe handing out literature. I agree with you, Matt. That is a great first step. If you're not aware of this, that's a great introductory step. What do you remember most? Well, I jumped ahead of something. So let's go back. You go to the website, you do your initial application, and then they're going to tell you, yes, you can proceed with the congressional nomination. Because like you said, you have to get approved by your congressman or senator or vice president.
Right.
You're not, unless you're friends with our vice president, that ain't going to happen.
No.
The U.S. senator is very difficult. There's only 2 for the state of Georgia.
Right.
So the realistic path is to go through your congressman.
Exactly, yeah, and you just need to get nominated by him, because another interesting thing is, hopefully I'm not overstepping my bounds with this, but they give out nominations, they have like a primary person, but you still have to be accepted by the academies.
That's only nomination step 2.
Exactly,
right? Yeah.
That's just part of the process. So like some people get worried, like, oh, I wasn't his number 1 nominee. I've seen number 1 nominees not even get accepted by West Point.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it's just they lack something. Like, it could be in other congressional districts, like they're politically connected. They gave this person the primary nomination, but West Point's like, they're not what we're.
We sniffed it out. This isn't our guy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So don't just get the nomination. Don't get hung up on your ranking with it.
Yeah, and because the first thing when you go and apply on the website, it's a very comprehensive application. If memory serves me right, very in depth. You do that, then they're going to tell you yes, you can proceed in seeking the nomination, which is another very elaborate process. Writing letters,
yes,
reaching out to your congressman. So then you get called in front of the panel and you get interviewed. I wasn't part of this, but my son went, so I'm sure it was the same for you.
Yep.
So now what's happening at that panel? You're getting grilled by veterans and they're asking you questions, right?
Yeah, and we got packets ahead of time of their resumes, their essays, and I would ask general leadership questions. Other members of the panel would ask things on their essay. Letters of recommendation, like, oh, your teacher said this about you. Why do you think they said this? Just to get them thinking and really get them kind of shifting into the mindset of, hey, you're about to be an officer in the military and lead soldiers, sailors, airmen in a life or death situation. We are here as a way to validate that you're actually ready to do this. So.
Wow. Think of that. Marc McMain, our guest is Matt Whitley. We're talking about Service Academy entrance. So one memory that comes to mind for me that Matthew shared with me, again, towards the top of his class, captain of a couple different teams, played various sports, good performer, good athlete, great shape, checked all the boxes. When he went to that panel for the nomination process, like you're just describing, what he told me, they didn't ask him about any of that. They asked him, just like you said, they asked him a specific question. He had started this little it was like, I want to say a mentoring program, but it was like almost like a tutoring program. For him as a senior, he was tutoring like first graders who were struggling in different, math, whatever. His wheelhouse was math. Mm-hmm. They asked him about that. So they look for that little something different.
Exactly. Yeah, we like looking for little things here and there that kind of stand out to us and shows you the whole picture of what a person is. Because, hey, everyone's got a 4.0 GPA. Everyone does great. But, we need to differentiate them a little bit.
Yeah, that's the beauty of having all these different applicants. You can really pick the cream, those that rise to the top. So let's fast forward. Let's say you get nominated. And then the Service Academy says, hey, yes, we see you're nominated, and we will offer you, I guess it's an appointment is what they call, correct?
Correct, yes.
So you get that fantastic letter in the mail that says you've been appointed or you're granted an appointment, and now it's up to you to make the decision.
Yes. Definitely, I would highly recommend making that decision. They also offer overnight visits to each of the academies that you're accepted to. I would definitely go visit that to make sure that's what you want to do. And I would also say you need to, if you're in this situation, you need to go to the academy because you want to go there, not because your parents forced you.
That's right.
Otherwise, you won't make it, and I've seen that happen with my own class and other classes while I was at West Point.
Yeah, you can't do this to make somebody in your family happy.
No, not at all. It has to be your own internal desire to go, succeed, graduate, and serve the country afterwards.
Some of the academies, Matt, they do offer a summer course. I think Navy did or does. Does West Point do that too, where it's like maybe a 2-week? I don't want to call it, maybe it's a camp that they do. Is that something that's still available? Or?
Yeah, I think West Point calls it a summer leadership seminar, and it's highly recommend going to that too. It's for rising seniors, and you can figure out how to apply for that through each of the academy's application process, and you get selected for that too. That does not mean you're higher likely to be accepted into the academy, but it's a way to be to figure out how life is like at those schools.
Gives you some exposure.
Exactly.
Well, and so Matthew did not get to do that. Did you do that?
No, I didn't really start this until fall of my senior year.
Did you do the overnight stay?
I did, and that's what really solidified my decision also.
And that's what I told you. That's got to be a must, right, Matt? Because you do not want your first overnight stay to be after I-Day or R-Day.
Yeah, your first night there should not be the first time you set foot on campus. No. You will have a very bad time.
Yeah, that would be a shocker for anybody.
Yes.
So let's talk about that for a second. Let's see how are we doing on time. Oh, mercy. Okay, what we're going to do is this, Chassie. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about that actual moment right there. More with Matt Whitley.
John Supermarket in downtown Monroe is proud to serve the Walton County community for over 50 years. 3 generations of the Thompson family offering the freshest produce, quality meats, everyday essentials, and now featuring Bistro South, a quick service restaurant with freshly made Southern cuisine and ready-to-heat gourmet meals. Always proud to support local farmers and suppliers, John Supermarket has the best meat in town and tons of weekly specials. Stop by and see him for all the ingredients, gifts, snacks, sweets, and everything in between you need this holiday season.
This is Pastor Stephen Butler from Bible Baptist Church in Monroe with some good news for you today. Isaiah 9:6 says, "For unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful, Counselor, the Mighty God, the Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace." This Christmas, Bible Baptist Church is celebrating the birth of the Savior of the world. Services are held Sundays at 11 a.m. and 6 p.m. On Wednesdays at 7 p.m., we have children's and youth activities and youth group for all middle and high school students, along with adult Bible studies. There's also an adult Bible study time at 11 a.m. on Wednesday mornings, so there's something for everyone here. Visit us in person at 1180 Old Monroe-Madison Highway in Monroe or online at BibleBap.org and be our guest at Bible Baptist Church of Monroe. And we hope you and your family have a very Merry Christmas.
I've got to tell you about the best kept secret in Monroe for electric wholesale supply, Allen's Electric. Family owned and operated since 1972, Allen's Electric offers a complete line of electrical supply, wiring, breakers, bulbs, heating elements, electric motors, light fixtures, and so much more. Located at 925 West Spring Street in Monroe, stop by and see Brian and Cindy, in business for over 50 years. That's Allen Electric Supply, 770-267-5572. Are you looking for new tires? Well, look no further than Madison Car Care. They have the largest selection and you'll always get the best price. They also handle a wide range of auto repairs, from the small things like oil changes and wiper blades to the big things like suspension, parts, and radiators. They offer all kinds of accessories, from toolboxes to bed covers, side steps, and they even install those awesome ranch hand bush guards. Give them a call at 706-342-4774 or stop by at 1040 Confederate Road in Madison.
Get a great deal on a Kubota tractor. Built to work, built to last, and as dependable as you are. Right now, write it off the lot and write it off your taxes with 0 down, 5.49% APR up to 84 months, plus instant cash discount and 2 years orange protection warranty. Now through December 31st. Consult your tax advisor. Details at KubotaUSA.com.
Your Kubota dealer is Hayes Tractor, 545 Highway 11 South and Social Circle. Go to HayesTractor.com.
Serving Loganville and the surrounding area for over 25 years, it's the Main Street Barbershop, 305 Main Street next to Braxton's Auction in downtown Loganville, offering old-fashioned service and modern-day styles. Appointments available and walk-ins welcome. Open Tuesday through Saturday with a friendly staff and atmosphere. That's Main Street Barbershop in downtown Loganville. Call 770-554-3300 or go to MainStreetBarberLoganville.com to learn more.
And welcome back to the Marc McMain Show. My guest is Matt Whitley, U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, and West Point graduate. So we're doing a little teaser section now on a big show that we're going to do in January, where we highlight the service academies and the how-tos, how to get involved, how to apply, how to be prepared. So we're doing a little teaser on that right now because it naturally fits. Matt is a West Point graduate. We talked about the application process, the nomination process, and then you're fortunate enough, you get that coveted appointment. So, Matt, now tell us, you get the appointment, you reply and you say, yes, I accept this. And for Army, it's our day. What do you remember from that day?
So that was a very long day, obviously. And I'll precede this by saying it's a very loud day and stressful because you're about to enter a military service, and basic training is the same way. Combat is very loud, chaotic, and stressful. So they're doing as much as they can to simulate that. You can't replicate it. But, you know, you're going to be the officer and leader in charge, and you can't sit there and cry if, like, once gunshots start going off. So this is a way to be like, hey, you're about to enter a very chaotic job at worst case scenario. So we need to see if you can actually handle it and train you how to handle it. So that's why it's a very long day. It's very loud. You stand the entire day. But yeah, I also was on the other end as a junior, and it was a very fun day in that case.
So you got to go back a couple years later. Now you're in charge a little bit in a leadership capacity.
Yes.
So Navy's called I Day. Your experiences for West Point is R Day. Same deal where mom and dad dropped you off early in the morning. You get your head shaved in the morning. Was it that same experience?
Yeah, they dropped me off. They gave me 90 seconds to say goodbye to them, went to the back, put on your gym shorts and Army physical fitness shirt, got your head shaved like everybody else, and learned how to march and do all sorts of Army drill and ceremony because you did a parade later that day to show the parents, hey, look what we just did to your civilian son and daughter. You're now in the military now.
It's funny because we experience this from a parent's perspective, right? And so you're giving me a whole different perspective now. And I did not think of the idea of the chaos and all that because you're exactly right. I remember on I Day for our son in the Naval Academy, when all this was taking place, I remember some of the detailers, as they called them, the midshipmen that were in charge now, they've been there for a couple of years, were panicking because some of the kids said, I'm out. This is not for me.
Yeah, that happened to me both as a new cadet and as a junior. On the bus from they dropped your parents off to more in processing, kids quit.
No.
I'm like, you just got on the bus. And what really made me upset is you just took a slot from someone. We just explained the application process.
Right.
And it's like, you should have known what to expect before.
You mean to tell me they went through this entire arduous process from applying to nomination to getting the appointment? They go through all the tests, the medical tests. Then they get to the event and they're like, no, it's not for me.
Yep. And that slot does not get replaced. And, you can't predict if you can handle it, but you should know what you're getting into going through all of that. So
yeah, that's a tough day, though. From a parent's perspective, Matt, I can tell you this, and especially from a parent's perspective that we do not have military experience, we went back to our hotel after I Day. So your version is R Day. This is when the parents drop you off, your son's head gets shaved, and then, like you said, at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock that evening, they parade them back out in front of you and say, they show them their information, and they give you about 20 minutes in our case to say bye to Matthew. He's 17 years old at the time. He was a young senior, right?
Yeah.
So we're saying bye to him, and I remember I asked Matthew, because I thought I was pretty tough on him the last year to get him ready.
Yeah.
I have a martial arts background, so I'm thinking, Dad's going to get him ready.
Yeah.
And I asked my son, I said, did I get you prepared for this? And he says, not even close.
Yeah, very difficult to prepare someone for it. You can be close, but that's what the day is for, is to get you prepared for the rest of the summer and for military service in general.
Well, he told me, he says, Dad, they're talking to me in a way I've never heard anyone talk to me. Did they do that to you too at our day? Was it a pretty rude awakening?
It was. Well, I kind of knew what to expect. My dad gave me he was in the Army, gave me a very blunt lay down of how it would be, and he was accurate.
Yeah, so nothing shocked you?
No, not really.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. What an adventure. But then it eases off, right? You get that initial shock. Your first year's pretty tough, and then you're in your routine.
Exactly, yeah. Then you're in the swing of things. You do fun stuff over that summer because you accomplish all the basic training tasks of the military. Like you shoot a weapon, you go do land navigation, probably throw a hand grenade here and there. So there is some fun stuff to do in that. It's just you also have to do not fun stuff. But
days were early?
Days were early and nights were long. So
yeah. I bet you by the time you hit the bed at night, you're out.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely out. And then seconds later, it feels like you're awake again.
Marc McMain, our guest is Matt Whitley. We're talking about his experience at West Point. Matt, let's see here. Because we actually were going so long in the first one, I got a little bit sidetracked. What were some of the moments during your cadet years that tested your resolve? So you're in, obviously you have the shock of our day, but now you're in your routine. We know the days are long. You're starting early. You're working late, but you also have to manage a tremendously difficult academic calendar as well.
Yes, because the schools have Ivy League level academics, and you have anywhere from 18 to 21 or more credit hours in academics solely every semester. And you also do physical fitness classes. Like for us, we did boxing, survival, swimming, gymnastics, all sorts of stuff, and military training on top of all that.
Yeah, so think about this. If you're in college and you go to one of what you, like you just said, an Ivy League school, you're pretty much going there, and all you're doing 3 to 4 hours of classes a day, and the rest of the day you can, if you have a part-time job, that's great, or if you want to work out here and there, but really you've got the rest of the day devoted to do what you want to do. That's not the case with the Service Academy. I mean, really, every minute of your day is accounted for.
Yep, and you quickly develop time management skills, and if you don't, you're not going to make it. And I went to graduate school at UGA in the full-time Masters of Business Administration program. Similar academic course load, but that's it, just academic course load. And every one of my classmates was complaining that this was hard, and I said, I've never had more free time in my life. This is really not difficult.
It's a cakewalk compared to what I just went through.
Exactly.
What about your time at West Point, Matt? Did you struggle with, and I don't know if social media was as prevalent when you were at this time or not, but did you struggle with the messages you're getting from your buddies who went to the fun schools, who went to the UGAs and the Georgia colleges and the Georgia Southern, and they're saying, Matt, it's Tuesday at 9:00 and we're having a bonfire, having a blast, and your face is buried in a book.
Absolutely. And at no point did I ever want to quit, but that was extremely tough to see all my friends at Georgia going to football games, doing all these fun events. I just had to remember in the back of my mind, I'm doing something for more than myself.
Yeah.
I'm going to lead soldiers, serve in the military, and have a job day one of graduation. But, whereas they, not the case.
That's what separates you from those that want to do this and those that don't, is your mindset. What you just described there, that you're able to look at that and say, yeah, I'm making a sacrifice for a reason.
Exactly, yeah.
No, just fascinating. What would be some advice that you want to give? We talked about the application process, but let's talk about the meat and potato side. This is now the grit of what you're doing this for. Advice you'd give to a young person who's considering a service academy?
I would definitely really take a look at the service requirement you have to do after that. The entire purpose of the service academies is to produce officers for each of those branches of the military. So you really need to be like, is this what I want to do? Do I want to lead soldiers for at least 5 years in the military? And if you don't, you're not going there for the purpose of the academies. So you really need to figure out if that's what you want to do. If that's what you want to do, then those are the places for you.
Yeah, think about that. The academy is just the beginning. That 4 years, and one other thing let's hit on, Matt. It's 4 years.
Yes.
I don't care how smart you are; you're not graduating 3.
No.
And I don't care if you're not having a tough time; you don't get an extra year either.
Exactly. If you stay longer than 47 months, you have screwed up. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's not the plan. It's 4 years, no matter how fast, how slow you are. But then you said there's a commitment beyond that.
Exactly. Yeah, at least 5 years active duty in that branch with a 3-year reserve commitment. I did almost all 8 on active duty.
So. And you say at least 5 years because some of the paths that you might select require a further commitment, like if you're going to fly.
Exactly. And I should clarify, it's 5 years because all of the academies are free. It's federally taxpayer funded. That's why you serve in the military for 5 years, because you just had a free Ivy League level education. Now you're paying it back.
Think about that, Chastity. So that's something we didn't learn till later on, but obviously as a fiscal conservative, when I discovered that was on the table, I'm thinking, wow. I mean, this is incredible. You're going to get this education, and it's not going to cost, right? I mean, other than
worth it.
Well, and when you say free, it's room, board, but there's some minimal things that you have to buy, right?
And you get paid a little bit while you're there.
That's
too.
right. I forgot about that. You get a little stipend, right?
You do, yes.
Yeah. It's beer money, but you're not allowed to drink.
Nope, it just goes into the void fund, just sits there because you can't do anything with it. So.
There's no fun to be had.
Exactly.
So nothing to spend the money on.
Yep.
Oh, this is absolutely fantastic. I don't care what other noon shows out there today. This is the best noon show there is, Chastity. We have all kinds of fun here on Marc McMain Show.
I can't wait for the next segment.
Yeah, this is going to be great. You're listening to Marc McMain Show. We come back more with Matt Whitley.
Leadfoot Mulching and Grading offers land clearing, hauling of gravel and sand, and more. And now offering screen topsoil for the farmer or homeowner, asphalt paving, and more. No job is too big or small. Locally owned and operated, it's Leadfoot Mulching and Grading, serving all of North Georgia. Fair prices and great customer service. Phone 404-909-5227 or go to leadfootmulching.com.
It's already that time of year. Time to start thinking about what you're going to gift your office staff. Clients and relatives spread out all across the country for the holidays. Well, the only real option is to go with Stone Mountain Pecan Company. Everybody appreciates the gift of high-quality pecans, walnuts, almonds, and cashews. How about some coffee and dried fruit, too? It's all online at stonemountainpecan.com, or make a family trip of it to their country store on Highway 78 in Monroe. Stone Mountain Pecan. Eat well, be happy.
When you walk through the doors of Campton Restaurant, you're not just here for a meal, you're part of a tradition. I'm Josh Parker, fourth-generation owner, and for nearly 40 years, families in Walton County and surrounding areas have gathered around our tables to share stories, laughter, and good Southern cooking. From crispy fried chicken to heart-healthy daily specials, there's always a plate waiting with your name on it. We're open Mondays for lunch and Tuesday through Thursday from 11 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. and 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. Fridays and Saturdays. So come on by, make yourself at home, and experience Campton Restaurant, where family tradition meets every meal.
Since 1979, the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family has been caring for families in their time of need. The Tim Stewart family pledges to honor your loved one with excellence in service, compassion, and will guide you in making the right decisions. To learn more about the Tim Stewart Funeral Home family, stop in at one of their 3 locations in Monroe, Loganville, and Lawrenceville. Call 770-267-2594 or go to stewardfh.com.
Youngblood Tractor in Madison is proud to be your local Massey Ferguson dealer. Massey Ferguson has been building straightforward, dependable, and affordable tractors and farm equipment for 175 years. Massey Ferguson right now has the best lineup in their 175-year history, and there has never been a better time to upgrade to a Massey Ferguson tractor. Youngblood Tractor carries the complete lineup of Massey Ferguson tractors, ranging from the 22.5 horsepower subcompact all the way up to the 130 horsepower mid-range utility tractor. And with one of the largest trailer inventories in the state, you'll always have a way to get it home. Youngblood Tractor also carries the complete lineup of hay equipment, including the legendary Massey Ferguson 1840 square baler, as well as implements like rotary cutters, batwing cutters, box blades, grapples, pallet forks, and more. There are great financing promotions to take advantage of, so give us a call today at 706-342-2242. Youngblood Tractor also has experienced parts and service departments to take care of you after the sale. Visit us online at www.youngbloodtractor.com or stop by and see us at 1600 Athens Highway in Madison.
Welcome back. Marc McMain. Our guest is Matt Whitley, U.S. Army veteran, former Apache helicopter pilot, West Point graduate. Matt, before we get into your time in the service after the academy, what do you think, your education at West Point, maybe how has that influenced your leadership style, not just in the military, but in civilian life?
Yeah, I would say all the service academies are leadership laboratories, basically. While you're there, you get leadership classes constantly, and you're in charge of other cadets too, so you get to develop your own leadership style. And with me, the most important leadership qualities that I embraced in the Army and after civilian life was to lead by example. One, you are in charge. Everything is your fault, and what you do and fail to do is your fault.
Yep.
So those are the kind of lessons I took with
You're
me.
responsible for whatever happens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And to get feedback from your subordinates too, because you're not a dictator, but you're the manager. So get everyone's input when you can and make the decision from there.
And you're constantly crafting that skill.
Exactly. Yeah, constantly.
After West Point, you served as an Apache helicopter pilot. Before we get into your experience there, tell our listeners about the Apache. What an incredible craft.
Sure. So the Apache helicopter is the Army's attack helicopter. Attack means, you're not giving helicopter tours. It's got missiles, rockets, a huge cannon below there, and its entire purpose in life is to blow up stuff. So it's an attack helicopter, air to ground. It was designed to destroy tanks and other vehicles, but you can use it for anything, really.
Matt, I disagree. I think it is for tours. You're giving the enemy tours to heaven or hell. One way or another.
Well, at tours is there's only 2 seats, one for the pilot and one for the co-pilot and the gunner, not for passengers. So.
Oh, but it's an incredible piece of machinery.
Yes.
What was your experience like with that?
It was awesome flying that. And I will say, since I was an officer, so I was not only a pilot, I was in charge of the other pilots and the mechanics and everything too. So it wasn't Top Gun where we just tossed the keys and hopped in and did whatever we wanted. I had other responsibilities in addition to being a pilot.
So So you're actually in the preparation phase of a flight. You're involved in what goes on as far as being sure it's fueled correctly,
yes,
armed correctly,
everything. Mission planning. I led the missions. I was in charge of the maintenance. I had to know the maintenance status of all of the Apaches I was responsible for. So yeah, it's not Top Gun where Maverick just flying and doing stuff. I am doing that, but I have way more responsibility after that too.
In the break, we were talking with Chastity and young people's appetite for wanting to travel and see the world. No better place in the military to do that. Where are some of the places that you've been?
So, relatively fun places at West Point. Everyone in college does an internship. We do similar thing. We go to see a platoon leader in the Army. I went to South Korea, which was cool. In the Army, some not so fun places. I went to Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. Yeah. So I did 2 combat deployments throughout the Taliban ISIS stuff back in the 2010s. So.
Wow. Yeah, that's difficult times.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the pressure when you're there and you're flying in a combat zone and you're operating this incredible piece of machinery. How do you manage that pressure? I mean, I can only imagine the level of stress that you're under.
So I will say this. It applies to all pilots in the service. A former astronaut said this too. He said, pilots are internally so cocky, they would rather die than be embarrassed. So this is where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
So on a mission, I would rather just and internally, I'm like, this is really stressful. I'm terrified, obviously. But outwardly, you cannot show that.
You don't show your cards.
Even on the radio, when you're about to provide air support in a firefight, you can't be all excited on ending because that gets everyone else excited. The guys on the ground are very excited, but you have to calm down and be the calm voice of assurance that, hey, everything's going to be okay. Just let me know when I'm cleared to fire and stuff. But that's more of just my internal pride to not look like I'm scared, basically. Yeah. So that's just what you learn at the service academies and going through flight training too, is you learn to compartmentalize all the fear that's going on inside you and outwardly show people that you're not scared, but internally you might be.
Wow. So, yeah, that's tough. Chastity, I would have been losing my stuff. I would have been the freak out guy. Oh, man, it would have been like the dude in Aliens.
Yeah, if you freak out, everyone freaks out. So you have to, and that's what you learn at the service academies too. You're in charge. You cannot freak out because it just snowballs. You have to be the calm voice of reason for everyone to rally.
Especially because you're an officer and people looking to you for leadership.
Exactly.
Yeah, makes sense. Let's talk about your time. Are there any situations that you want to share? Anything that your experiences while in the military before we move to civilian life that I'm leaving out?
I would say as far as stressful stuff on a deployment, so Apaches kind of do 2 things, at least in the Middle Eastern conflicts. One, they're basically 24-hour firefighters, causing fires, not putting them out, you're on call and you sprint out to the Apache. And that was the most stressful thing because you would not figure out what was going on until you had taken off and you got all your instructions over the radio.
So you would know in advance?
No, if they called you to launch, it was for sure to go shoot something.
Yeah,
and because it's a time-sensitive thing, they would give you all that. They're like, go fly to this grid point, and you would go fly, and they'd feed you the information. Here's the frequency to contact someone. You'd call them, and then when you're at the scene, you have to figure out, okay, where are the good guys? Okay, where are the bad guys?
Wow.
To avoid all the fratricide stuff. So that was the stressful part. Where again, as the officer, you have to just be calm and calm everybody down and figure out what's going on.
That's a lot to digest, though.
Yeah, you have to digest all of that probably within seconds. So
good Lord, I just can't imagine the level of stress.
And it was a daily and nightly occurrence also.
But once again, I think it reinforces why the initial process of what we just talked about in the last couple of segments is so thorough, so complex to be sure that you are getting the right people for these positions, because there's thousands and thousands of applicants and only a handful get passed through because of what we're just describing right now. Marc McMain, our guest is Matt Whitley. We're talking about his time as an Apache helicopter pilot. So, Matt, after your time serving our country, tell us about transitioning back to civilian life. Was that easy for you?
It was very easy. While I was I actually lived in Nashville and Austin, Texas, when they were growing to be huge cities. So I lived an hour from the base I was assigned to. So I was already living a somewhat civilian life. But it was a really easy transition. Again, I went to grad school at the University of Georgia, with the service academies, getting into grad school is very easy because you have a very strong undergraduate performance. So that helped out a lot too.
Yeah, so you pursued an MBA. What is your MBA in?
It's just a general MBA, but I concentrated in real estate while I was there. So I took a lot of real estate related classes.
Yeah, that's good thing to be in, especially right now. No doubt about that.
Right.
What drew you into that next chapter? You know, what was so you've spent a significant amount of time in the military, obviously operating, flying an Apache. When you get back, how do you go through the process of saying, hey, how does this, what I just did for 8 years, how does this translate to real life? And I know for you actually continue that career to a capacity. Tell me what you do with that.
Yeah, so my hobby and side business is I teach people how to fly helicopters. It's a way to still use my technical skill I learned in the military, and I've trained several students to get their helicopter license, and that's really fun.
I bet that is.
Yeah.
I bet that is. And I know that's the other thing people ask too is like, okay, if I become a helicopter pilot, what options are there for my career? There's you could probably do search and rescue.
Yeah.
There's private corporate events or gigs I'm sure that you can get on with, you know, for people that have helicopters. Is that something you ever were interested in, doing something like that, or no?
No, never. I like valuing my own schedule and my own flexibility and stuff. What I will tell people is if someone with military service, and this is for civilian employers too, if you get someone applying that's been in the military, you can be guaranteed that they've got leadership experience. They can show up on time. They'll do what they say. They'll accomplish any task you give them. So you're basically, the military has validated them as a hard worker. They're driven, and they'll be a good employee too.
I can reinforce that by telling you many of my friends in the corporate world that work for larger entities will tell you this, that when they get a pile of applications from potential employees, anybody that has military experience, that goes to the top.
Oh, yeah.
And they say that because they show up on time, they understand chain of command.
Yep.
You know, they're able to follow procedures. So those are key elements that, you know, they're going to be there every day and they're going to work and they're going to follow the orders.
Exactly.
So, yeah, there's a lot of groundwork that's put in place to be sure that that's going to be successful. So you get out, you pursue the MBA in real estate, you have that working, you're doing the teaching of helicopter pilots for those that want to get their commercial helicopter license. What else fills your time? I know you and I are part of the Rotary Club of Monroe. Are there any other things that you like to do in your spare time, Matt?
Yeah, I like the Rotary Club is the way I'm able to give back to the community and be involved. So I like doing that with volunteering and whatnot with the service projects the club does and the scholarships and other local causes that we fund. And then the other things we talked about earlier is I'm an admissions liaison with West Point. That's a way I'm able to give back to the school, is to help future cadets and alumni get into the school.
Yeah, that's how many hours a week does that consume? Because I'm assuming that's somewhat seasonal, right? When it gets into hot season?
Yeah, summer, fall is busy. Like I was talking to a parent earlier today about his son's a junior, so next year he wants to apply to the schools. So it's about to cool off a little bit once the appointments come out and everything, but that's not too big of a time commitment, and I'm happy to do it too.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. And I appreciate what you're doing with the Rotary Club. Matter of fact, are you not president-elect?
I am. I'll be the president July 1st for a year. So.
Who hoodwinked you into that one?
The current president,
Bill's got his name all over that. What an honor it is. It's. Are you going through the president-elect training? Have they sent you on that yet, or does that start after the first of the year?
Yep, and in February I'll go to Atlanta for the weekend training for all that stuff. But yeah, it's been fun learning about how to be a president.
Well, it's a great club, and I know that there's an initiative for y'all too to start maybe like a little morning deal on Friday. So if that gets legs and gets going, please keep me in the loop, because what's happened with me, my show noon to 2 weekdays, I can no longer attend the Monroe Rotary Club because y'all meet Tuesdays at noon.
Right, and that's why we want to have a Friday morning option. That Friday's been the general consensus with former members that they can make. So we want to have one club, just 2 meeting options for the overall benefit of the community.
I think that's a great idea. Right now, if I want to go to a Rotary Club, I got to visit Oconee County, and they meet Tuesday early. And so, or you got Loganville, who meets, I think, they may be Thursdays early. I don't know when Loganville meets.
They're early, too.
Yeah, they're early. So that'll be my only option. The problem for me, Chastity, is I'm not an early bird. And I typically I roll out a little bit later because I'm up till 1 or 2 doing show prep.
True.
My nights are long.
So.
Matt, this has been fantastic. I greatly appreciate you taking the time to visit with us today, and we are definitely going to get you scheduled to come back once we have the Service Academy Day on the books in January to be that voice for those that are considering West Point to share your experiences once again.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back and do that.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Chastity, great job again today as usual.
Thank you.
What's on the slate for tomorrow?
So tomorrow, another great lineup. So we've got Mr. Timmy Shellnut, our Walton County Commissioner.
Yeah.
Brian Robinson.
Yep.
And co-hosting with you tomorrow, Tim Bryant.
I got the big dog coming in.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, he's going to come in. See, when Tim comes in, that adds a whole different dimension because he is an absolute pro.
Yes.
So he'll come in.
Great.
And he probably looks at me what I'm doing. And he says, "You rookie."
Don't you say that.
He comes in.
You do a great job.
No, you're kind.
You do.
We're getting better. Nope. I'm telling you, this is the best. We may be the only noon to 2 talk show in this area, but I can tell you now we're the best.
Hey, I love it.
After guests like today,
wonderful.
this is good stuff.
Absolutely. Can't wait to have him back.
That's fantastic.
So amazing.
All right, folks. Until tomorrow noon, be safe.